Hi, I'm Marcus, and welcome to Lion's Roar, Georgian Court University's online guide to financial aid. Financial aid can open all sorts of doors for people who go to college. Whether you're a student or a parent, I'm going to help you take advantage of all the opportunities available. The most important step is filling out the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA. This form has to be filled out and resubmitted every year. So if you've never done it before, or if it's been a while, I'll help you make sure the whole process is a breeze. Once you submit the FAFSA, any school you choose will be able to see what financial aid you're eligible for. If you don't fill it out, you'll miss out on aid you can use to pay for college. Whether you're a parent or a student, before you start, you're going to need some things: the list of schools the student is applying to, and your income or tax documentation from the last year. And if you have them, your social security number, your FSA ID, and your driver's license. When you first go to fafsa.gov, you'll be asked to start a new application or continue an old one. If you start a new application, click the option that says you're a parent. There are several sections to the FAFSA, covering everything from parent demographic information to student dependency status. You can check the tabs at the top of the page to see which section you're on. The first section is student demographics. And students, you can probably fill this out yourself, right? Right? You need to fill out the FAFSA every year you're in school. So when it asks for your college grade level, you need to put down the grade you'll be in next year. You might be a sophomore now, but you'll be a junior in the next school year. If you're going to college right after high school, the degree you're working on will be your first bachelor's degree. You've got to finish that before you move on to other options. Also, freshmen, just because you graduated high school doesn't make you a graduate student. A graduate degree would be a master's or a doctorate. Even if you know you want to finish one eventually, the FAFSA only wants what you're working on during the next school year. Next is the school selection section. If you're applying to college for the first time or are transferring, put down all the schools you're interested in. Any school you put down will receive a copy of your FAFSA, along with what aid you're eligible for. You can add more schools later, but you can't have more than 10. If you're not transferring and already attend college, just put down the name of your school. They're the only ones who need your FAFSA. The next section determines a student's dependency status. I'll be honest, this part can get a bit complicated. It's not the same thing as when someone claims a student as dependent on their taxes. What I can say is, if a student is independent, they don't need to put their parents' financial info on the FAFSA. That'll make things easier later on. But don't assume a student is independent, even if they don't live at home anymore. It's super important to fill out this section carefully. Remember, you'll be filling out the FAFSA every year, and student status may change depending on when their birthday is or if they get married. The first 3 questions in this section will determine whether the student is dependent or independent. If the student answers yes to any of these questions, the FAFSA will assume they are independent. They won't have to put in their parents' financial information. But make sure the information is accurate, or you'll have to fill the form out again. And if the deadline has passed, that'll be a big problem. Either way, you'll need to fill in the rest of the questions, and the schools you're sending the FAFSA to may double check to make sure the student's dependency status is correct. If you have any trouble, our Georgian Court Financial Aid advisors can answer your questions. You can email them at financialaid@georgian.edu. Once you've figured out your dependency status, the next section will ask for parent demographics. If you don't have an hour to sit down together, the Save key can help parents jump in and fill out this section on their own. Household size can get a little complicated, just like the student's dependency status. It's not as simple as who lives at home and who doesn't. At a minimum, the student and the parent each count. Other people might count, like grandparents and other siblings who are attending college. Students, I know it's tempting to pretend like the bratty little brother doesn't exist, but trust me, leaving them out will make things more expensive in the long run. It's a good idea to fill this out even if you think the student is independent. The last section is financial information. Be sure to check the left side of the screen to see whether you need to enter the student or parent's information. When it's time to enter your tax info, you can use the handy IRS data retrieval tool to automatically bring all the info from your tax forms into the FAFSA. Check out the video below to learn how to use it. After this, all you have to do is sign the FAFSA and send it in. If the student is a dependent, their parent will need to sign as well. The easiest way to do this is with your Federal Student Aid Identification, or FSA ID. What's an FSA ID? How do you get one? I'm glad you asked. We have another video that will answer all of these questions. Click the link below for more information. In order to set up an FSA ID, you'll need a Social Security number. If the parent doesn't have one, that's okay. The student can still create an FSA ID with their social. The parent can print out the form, sign it with a pen, and use snail mail to send it in. Once you sign and submit, you're almost done. The FAFSA will only tell you if you're eligible for financial aid from the federal government. If you stop here, you could be missing out on thousands of dollars from the state of New Jersey. On the confirmation page, you can click on a link to take you to the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority, HESA. By taking a few more minutes, you could get thousands of dollars in additional aid. Click below to see our video on what to do next.